is working in construction sort of sector, take the opportunity to ask the clients who are holding retentions on you. Like our business at several $100,000 is sitting out there in retentions in other people's businesses. So take the time to ask, is your money held in trust or on trust in accordance with the amendment to the Construction Contracts Act? And ask for a summary of what's held. I'd recommend the best thing to do is ask accounts person to do that. And if you don't get the answer from them, I would be ringing the business owner and saying, hey, look, we really need to have this. But I think it's often easier to do as accounts person to accounts person. And vitally, make sure the request is in writing and make sure that the response is in writing. Do not take a verbal request. I'm currently sitting on a debtors committee for a company that went into liquidation, and I have several contractors who have written notice that their money was held in trust, and were given schedules. The money never was, and it's looking like the contractor won't be held to account. Now, we're working damn hard with government to try and actually give that piece of law a bit more teeth, but again, like all these things, it's your money, chase hard, you're entitled to it. Keep in contact. Do not get stuck inside your bubble. I mean, I'm not going to lie, it's cost us a hell of a lot of money this 4 weeks, but I have to say I've enjoyed it a bit as well. My phone hasn't rung as much. It's almost like being on holiday, but use the time to connect. I would suggest contacting your regular clients, contact your suppliers, those key people who work in and around your business, and other professionals such as your accountant and bank manager. Get their view on what's happening out in the market, get their view on what the future might be. If they're clients you're working for, find out if they're planning to start up on level 3 or are they waiting for level 2, because all this information is vital, and it's information that you're going to feed back into your cash flow projections and your budget projections. So like I say, keep saying knowledge is gold. You want to get information from as much as you can, and contact your employees, see how they're going. I've probably contacted about 80 of our 120 employees, and I plan to get through all of them. And I tell you, it's a really important thing to do. Just have a chat, find out how they're finding things. And I know that we had one example of when I put the phone down, it didn't sit well with me, and I rang the guy's manager and said, hey, look, I'm a little bit concerned. They got some of his mates to get in touch, and he was certainly struggling, and it was good to be able to identify that and wrap some support around them. So it's very important to keep in contact. Knowledge is gold. Tap into as many different views as possible. On the bank manager one, you know, I speak to my bank manager really regularly, because he gives me really good advice as to where the market's heading. So that's a strong piece of advice from me. Keep in contact. Future projections. Now that you've got all that financial projection information, you know, you've worked out how long you can reasonably last keeping all your employees informed, and you've fed that information by keeping in touch with your customers and getting their view of either optimism or pessimism, you should have a pretty damn good view of where your business is heading, how viable it is, or whether it's going to need some cash. But one thing I'll say above all, you must look after the business at all costs. If you've got a business employing 10 people and you got work for 7 people, and you try and keep that thing going, just remember you're putting at risk the jobs of 7 other people. So now's the time to make those hard decisions if you have to make them. And I'll always say cut early and cut hard. You can always rebuild again, but you must look after the business at all costs. That's why you're doing cash flow projections and the like. I think when you're doing those projections too, like you can look at options, say, such as paying staff at 80%, 60%, 40%. And I assume most people would have gone for the subsidy. I don't know about you, but I was genuinely impressed. They had the back office systems to do that. We applied in 2 of the businesses, received the money within 2 days. One within less than a week, and the other one was a bit longer because it was a far larger amount. But just the same, I was hugely impressed how quickly that money came through. And in these projects, it's really important, like all these things, talk to your staff. Your decisions directly affect them, and I'm telling you, you'll probably be greatly surprised with what they might come up with. I mean, I know in our business, we said to everyone we were going to support them to 80%. Every person I called was really hugely appreciative of that. No one said we should have been paying 100, why didn't I get this? And do remember, in all your planning, to have a viable business when you rebuild, you're going to need people, and you're going to need good people. So keep in touch with them, and all that information just builds into your projections. Financial support. Plan your financial needs, assuming we've done our break-even analysis, and then we fed that into our cash flow projection. We've got all that great information now from the wider community about how everything is looking. You're going to have a pretty good idea whether you're in a hole or not, and how much cash you're going to need. Once you have that, you can always contact your bank manager, see what options are available to you, right? And even if you think you're going to sneak through and it should be all right, I'd still strongly suggest you contact your bank manager. It's far easier to have a facility in place that you don't have to use rather than go begging for one at the 11th hour. And if you send them, what the bank's going to want to know, they want to see your cash flow projection. They're going to want to see any future orders. They want to get those cash flows, like I say, 6 to 12 months. They're also going to want to know a little bit about your business and where you see the future and the opportunities and what have you. What I can tell you is banks do not want to hear from you when you've run out of cash, because it gives them no confidence in you. They want to know that you're in control of your own destiny. So they want that approach very, very early. So you'll have really good information if you follow those simple tips, and you'll be able to get in touch with your bank. Having spoken to my bank manager, he was saying that the government-backed loans currently work on the basis it gives the bank confidence to loan where they might not have loaned otherwise, but the bank will require a general security over your assets. And should you not be able to meet your financial obligations, they will come in, they are going to want payment, and they will take those assets and sell them if required. The government's only stepping in with a guarantee if all your assets don't meet your full obligation, and then the guarantee will be fulfilled by the government. So it's not a get out of jail free card. But like I say, look, they're happy to lend. Money's never been cheaper. Very cheap to fund a facility. So if you think you might need it, get it. And like I say, you don't have to increase borrowings, but it's bloody nice to know you've got it in place should you need it. Things don't always go to plan, like COVID. Who saw that coming? Certainly didn't see it coming in December of last year. The business plan. I think this document is at the heart of any good business. What I'd suggest now is review your business plan, and assuming you have one, and if there isn't, now's the perfect time to do one. Anyone can get on and type, ask Mr. Google for a template for a business plan. They're actually really easy to do. You've already done your financial information, your cash flow projections, and that's a big chunk of what you're doing here. If you follow the simple steps, very easy to do a business plan. But I'm going to give you a tip, and it's a very simple tip, and it's an easy thing to do, and you've all got time. Get your typewriter, get your computer out, and I'd say write at least 10 to 15 pages of your business. Start to tell your own business story right from the very start, how you got into business. Why did you get into business? How did the business grow? Who are your customers? What is your office support systems like? Does the business own you? Does it drag you every day? Does it drive you nuts? Does your phone never stop? Write everything down, leave nothing out, all the way right through. And actually say, what's your vision of what your perfect business would be like? And once you've done that, what I'd suggest you do, print it out, go and put it away on a shelf for a week and just let it settle. When you actually get that out a week later, have a highlighter in your hand and just read through that whole thing and identify the issues, identify the problems, because I promise you, they will jump out of the page at you. Once you've identified them, then you can actually start applying a fix. I think it's a very, very powerful tool. I was at university a number of years ago, And a lot of our learnings was via case study. And effectively, a case study is you're given the whole story and history of an organisation. You also got given a bit of financial information, and your job was to read that, review it, identify what the issue is and how you would apply a fix. Effectively, what you're doing is a case study for your own business. I actually would tell you it's probably one of the most powerful business tools, particularly now we're looking at something like COVID, write that in as well, how it's going to affect the business. Like I say, focus should be given to the external environment because that external environment does greatly affect the business. Hey, and also too, when you think about it, your clients are going to be experiencing exactly the same thing as you. How is that going to affect them, and how will that feed back into your own business? I mean, this event is not just affecting New Zealand. I think we've probably been steered through this pretty well. Probably a hell of a lot easier than most countries. But remember, we're a trading nation, and it is going to affect us in due course. But what is important is identify ways the business can adapt. Should your business be supporting the travel and tourism sector or the entertainment sector with bars and the like, the outlook in the short term is probably reasonably grim. But once you write your whole plan out, look and identify ways at which the business can adapt. The government's going to be putting a lot of money into infrastructure. Could be a way to look at the business positioning itself to take advantage of that, find out who the people that do that work, go and do some research. I'll always say where there is chaos and confusion, there's opportunity. So you just got to go looking for it. But the business plan is at the heart of that. I'll give you a little analogy about how vital a business plan is. If I was to give you a car, have you in the middle of Kansas somewhere, give you $5,000 and a full tank of gas, and I said, I want you to get to a certain location, off you go. But you didn't know where that location was. I can promise you, if you aimlessly drive around the United States, I guarantee you will never find it. But if I give you that location, that pinpoint in the map, that street address, then all you got to know, right, I know where the hell I'm heading. Okay, that's your destination. So you can go with a bit of certainty, you're pretty comfortable where you're heading. The business plan is the roadmap to get there, right? You might get a flat tire or run out of gas, or a car might break down, or the road's closed. I mean, any of these little hiccups, when you're faced with them, you can deal with them because you know where the hell you're heading. And so absolutely vital piece of equipment, the business plan in any organization. Company policy documentation. Really good time now to review all your documentation, particularly your employment agreements. Make sure they're all up to date. What I can tell you, if you do have to lay off staff and make them redundant, COVID's not going to save your ass if you followed the wrong procedure. I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of those pay, if and when paid lawyers are advertising, basically they're the vultures out there ready to pick off your carcass if you stuff that up. So really look at that policy document and get good advice. As a Master Electricians member, you're entitled to get some free advice from People Passion. I've been dealing with Claire from People Passion for a number of years. They manage the HR for our 120 people. We have a pretty close working relationship with them. We get very good advice and we never get into trouble. So take the opportunity to speak to their people. I think they offer a valuable service, particularly now when you've got to make sure that documentation is really, really good, up to date. Review your health and safety and policy documentation. I happen to sleep with the health and safety officer for our business. She's my wife. And since Wednesday, we've been reviewing that documentation pretty thoroughly because we had to put into place a policy and a training document to deal with COVID. I'm not going to lie, that's been pretty stressful. We had to get task analysis together. We had to get a team of people that we could connect with, our guys, to actually make it a fit for purpose document. Your customers are going to require a policy and a task analysis for your return to work under COVID-19. It's actually not that hard to do. There's a hell of a lot of good information out there. It's probably a matter of cutting and pasting it. It's probably not much different to what main contractors are sending you now. It's probably easy to adapt. But now's the absolute best time to do it. You don't want to actually turn up and have you guys shut off, turned away from a site. And remember, as a PCBU, that's a person conducting a business or undertaking, it's your responsibility to keep your employees safe, right? It's mandated under the Health and Safety Act. It's your responsibility. So really look at making sure that your company policy and documentation is right up to date. It's vitally important. And you have the time to do it. There's still another week of lockdown. Number 9, why is that not moving? Here we go. Review systems. I happened to be in Christchurch when the big earthquake hit, and I have very good first-hand knowledge of how it affected not only our business, but many other businesses. I came back from that learning the lesson that I never wanted to ever get caught in that situation again. Certainly, my kids give me a hard time about having a few gas bottles always full, but they never saw 300 people standing in a queue after an earthquake. But just the same, when you look to see how good your systems, how robust your systems are. A lot of people are working from home. How well did that work? Could you get into your office system? Technology products like Zoom are just amazing. We've been using it for a number of months. We've got engineers on staff, and we're involved in a number of projects around the country where everyone gets together via Zoom. We found that's a really good tool. In fact, it's probably going to change the way that we work in a lot of respects. But review what works well and what doesn't, because after the lockdown, you've got the opportunity to change that. And some of those technological things can create a huge amount of advantage to the business. It's the perfect time to review everything from your accounting packages to your job costing packages. What don't you like? Go and do some research. We generally just don't get time to do that. The phone doesn't stop. We're just dragged everywhere. But now's a damn good time to do that. Write a list of all those systems and just methodically go through them and maybe detail what keeps you awake at night. Good time to actually review that. 10, here's the big tip, the key to a successful business. It's not magic. It's just the fact that the people you employ are the key to any successful business. We have 120 people in our business, and I assure you I cannot run that on my own. I'm privileged to work with a good bunch of people, some very skilled and talented individuals who daily do what they do, from pricing to marketing to getting some pretty technical stuff done in the field. They're the absolute success of our business, and we value that hugely, and I'd like to think our staff know that. But I think it's important to note now it's probably a period of great stress and anxiety for them. So think about how you can connect with your staff, because these people are going to be coming back into your business. They're probably anxious about where their future lies. I think now more than ever, as a business owner, you need to show leadership. You need to show clear leadership, because that's what they're going to be looking for. Most importantly, keep them informed. If you're having problems, or you know cash is going to be an issue, or they know there might be layoffs, talk to them. You might just find they have the answer, and you might be really surprised at what your staff are willing to do to keep the team together. They might be willing to take a reduced income for a period of time, or those without families or financial commitments might put their hand up. I mean, these are unique times, and employees know that. You have a great opportunity to bond with with those people who are important to your business. I think it's a very, very important thing to do and not lose sight of, particularly now. I know I said there was 10 tips, but I do have an 11th one. Here we go, mental health. I've been involved in trying to improve mental health outcomes for our sector for a year or so now, and something I'm pretty passionate about. Our sector, the construction sector that we're a part of, unfortunately has the highest incidence of suicide of any other industry categorisation in this country. It's higher than forestry or farming. And having a wife who operates our health and safety system, there's not a day we're not talking about health and safety. So when I found out that we lose 6 times more people in the construction sector to suicide than we do to workplace accidents, I found that to be quite a shock. As business owners, look after yourselves. I understand the uncertainty and stress you're facing, and it's actually natural to feel a little bit upset or down about that. But don't isolate yourself. I think it's really important, whether you're feeling those pressures or not, ring around your staff, ring around your peers, the plumber that you work with, how's his business going? I think it's actually a very important time, but if you are feeling stressed, talk to those people close to you. I think it'll actually help. And as I said, your staff are going to be affected by that uncertainty in much the same way. One thing I think is really important for everyone, we hear our Prime Minister say it. I must admit, I've never ever really been a big fan of the Red Team, but pretty hard to fault the way we've been managed through this, is be kind. And I think that is really important. Don't let your stress come out onto other people. Just think about the way that you act and you request. And if you've got someone barking down the phone at them, rather than reacting, just ask them if everything's okay. I think it'll probably give them a bit of an attitude adjustment. And I do think take the time to ask everyone what's happening in their world. I think it's an important phrase. It's an important question. It's non-threatening. It's an open question. And if you keep doing that, I guarantee you'll be surprised at how much you can do to help others. And look, and if you are stressed and require a bit of support, you can text 1737. You get support from a trained counsellor. I know on Monday, Chris Alderson from Chassans did a presentation, and jump on their website. They got some fantastic resource for businesses and resource for managers about how to deal with staff stress and anxiety and things like that. Really good resource. And we now have in New Zealand an organisation I'd been in touch with before they came over, Mates in Construction, set up in Australia to reverse those appalling statistics. And I'm pleased to see that they've set up and they've really hit the ground running. They're doing some great things, but jump on those websites and have a look, because you're probably going to be needing to wrap some support around some of your people. Finally, I'm just going to read this because it's probably something we're all faced with a bit at the moment. Adversity, it's not the good times that define us. It's easy to bask under the warm glow of the sun and share in its radiance when fortune favours us. It's the bad times, the dark times when the sun has vanished and all seems but lost. These are the times that define us. It's our resolve and our ability to fight against adversity, to never give up and have the strength of character and blinding self-belief to toil once again towards the sun, and to know who and what you are fighting for, and that the fight is worth the effort. These are the things that define us. 31st of October 2017, a really shitty day. I'm just going to briefly share the story. 30th of October, we've been promised a big payment, and it was a significant payment, several hundreds of thousands of dollars. I would probably fair to say I checked that bank account at 1 in the morning, again at 2, 3, and even 4. By 5 o'clock, I was pretty sure that money wasn't coming. I got to the office early. Dan, my business partner, was there as well. We were pretty gutted. We got on the phone, we started ringing around. We couldn't get a response from anyone out of this organisation. And on top of that, knowing we probably had about 100 grand of work in progress, it was a pretty horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach. We jumped in Dan's car, went round to their office, probably 15 people who would normally be there. The office was locked. And when I went home that night, I won't lie, I was pretty down about this. And when I started looking at the issue was, Dave, do you think you're going to get paid? And the answer was probably unlikely. What are you going to do about it? That's really the big question. What are you going to do about it? And did I have the strength to actually come back and do something about it? And did I know why I was doing it? I knew why I was doing it. I was doing it for my family. And so really, once I could answer those questions, it was really just a matter about not sulking and getting on with it. before I went to bed, I wrote adversity, and I looked at it the next morning and the next day. In fact, I probably look at it every day. I don't need to look at it to read it because I probably know it off by heart. But I think sometimes we just need a kick in the ass. And now, time more than ever, I think that it's so important. And just as a side note from that, that business didn't go into liquidation. Over that time, we managed to get that debt down to about 80 grand of retentions, and they went into liquidation in probably mid 2019. So I was never happy to lose 80 grand in my life because I hadn't lost nearly $500,000. But I think it's important that we're all faced with that, and really we just need to get on and do it. So, hey, that's all from me. And if, I don't know if you do questions or not, I'll get that off the screen. Stop share.
Thank you so much, Dave. That's really wonderful. It was a very good presentation. We do have time for some Q&As. If anyone does have any questions, there is a little box down the bottom where you can click on Q&A and type your question in, and we will answer those. We will definitely have Dave's points available on our website much later today or first thing tomorrow morning for you. No questions coming through. I think you explained everything so wonderfully well, Dave. Thank you again so much for your time, and we will have more webinars coming up. If you keep your eye on your emails, we'll definitely keep you informed. Thanks everyone for your time.
Thanks, Rebecca.